Ios falling to Kentucky wasn't the only loss that fan had at that tailgate over the weekend. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another week of Tailgaters. As always, I am Bradley Davis, joined by Marcus Thomas.
Tonight we'll be giving our first impressions on the young NHL season, but we will start in the capital where the World Series took a very drastic turn.
Yeah, Marcus, before last week's show, the Nationals held a commanding 2-0 lead, after taking both road games in Houston. And we sat up here and told all of you the reasons why the Nationals were going to close out this series and win it for their first time in franchise history. But now the Astros sit one game away from winning their second pennant in 3 years, if they are to close out at home, that is. Or, Marcus, do you think the Nationals will win these two road games and become making it the first series in MLB baseball history where the home team goes winless in the World Series?
Tonight, Game 7, Justin Verlander versus Steven Strasburg. Verlander dropped the first time he pitched in the World Series. I don't think he's dropping tonight. 3-0 is just too much momentum to go on at this point in this World Series. I think Astros close out.
See, I'm gonna have to disagree with you here. I'm sticking with my guns from last Thursday. Strasburg in the playoffs has a 1.93 ERA and is 4-0, while Verlander has largely struggled in the postseason. And like you said, momentum plays a large part in these series. I think momentum plays a tremendous part in these World Series games. But I think Strasburg has been dominant enough that he can get after these Astros hitters early. And if the Nats can get on the board at all, I think they can come away with this game. And the Nationals have already been in the same situation. This is the fourth time in this postseason that they've been on the brink of elimination. In the wild card game against against Milwaukee, that was a win it or go home game. And then they had two elimination games against the Dodgers after falling behind 2-1. Won both of those games. And in the last game against the Dodgers, they were trailing until the seventh inning, I believe. And so they are very good at playing whenever their backs are against the wall, and especially on the road. And as I mentioned earlier, the road team has won every game so far this series. The Nationals know that, and I guess I can't know for sure, but the sentiment that it seems like they're putting out there is that they're not super worried. They're not being unreasonable and brandish or anything, but I read some of the interviews and they're just kind of chuckling and saying oh, we like playing from behind. And so I don't think they're really going to be rattled from being in this hole. And I need to go back and look it up, but I bet there are very few series where the team that was down won Game 6 and then went on to lose Game 7. I bet that doesn't happen a lot. And momentum, perfect example is the 2011 World Series, Cardinals versus Rangers. Rangers way ahead in that game. Cardinals came back, won it in extras, and then Game 7 wasn't even close. The Rangers were distraught. So if I believe with Strasburg on the mound, the Nationals can do that to Houston, and then they'll just go on with the momentum on the road to win Game 7 and get their first series. So even though maybe not turn out exactly how I said it was going to go last week, I still think the Nationals will get the same result. We'll find out tonight exactly what direction that narrative will turn.
This will conclude our World Series talk for the night as we move on to the ice. As we approach the 1 month mark in the NHL season, some of the top teams and rising stars are starting to take shape. Bradley, which clubs and individual skaters have looked the most impressive so far?
So far, I say so far, and I'll tell you that in a minute, I like the Avalanche. They have only played 2 games this season where they haven't gotten a single point, so either won the game or in overtime. So they've gotten a point in every game but 2. That's pretty impressive. They have an incredible goal differential. They're scoring four goals a game, only giving up 2.73 goals a game. It gives them a 1.27 differential. That puts them second in the league. I think one other team has 1.28. So they're basically tied for best in the league with goal differential. After last season, they scored just over 3 a game and gave up 2.97 or something like that. So they are doing much better this season than they did last season. The reason I'm a little hesitant to jump completely on their boat is they've definitely looked the best so far, but I don't know if they can hold it because they lost 2 of their 3 best scorers from last year to injury, in Mikko Rantanen and Gabriel Landeskog. They were in the top 3 for scoring for them last year. Landeskog, just no one really knows what happened with him, but he's out for an indefinite period of time, could be the whole season. No one really knows. And Rantanen is out week to week. No one's heard anything. Could be something serious, could not be. So now they're just left with Nathan McKinnon. He's their only top linesman from last season that is still playing. And their defense has looked much improved this year, but it's to be seen if they can ride that out through these injuries until these guys are able to get back and healthy.
I think the team I'm most impressed by right now are the New York Islanders. They started the season 1-3. They've won 7 straight, which puts them now in 2nd place in the Metropolitan Division. And they're being led by Brock Nelson, who's leading the team in like 11 total points. I think they're going to be interesting to follow along with this season.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good comeback story already. I guess dropping those first couple games never really means much. But you can't argue with 7 straight wins. And so my player so far at this point in the season is John Carlson. And he, in my opinion, is the undisputed top player thus far. He already has 21 points in 13 games. 13 games, so almost 2 points a game he's averaging. And he has 5 goals as a defenseman. And he is on pace to challenge Bobby Orr's record of 139 points in a season, which has stood for 49 years. And no one has even broken 100 points since 1992. So he's doing something right now that very few guys have done. And it is early in the season, just about a month through. So you never know what can happen. He could slow down. I know he had a game last night, I believe, where he didn't score any points. But it's going to be a great storyline to watch to see how many of these points he can rack up.
This will conclude this episode of Tailgaters. But before we go, make sure to check out our website, mutv.missouri.edu, and our Twitter at 23sports. From Marcus Thomas, this is my co-host Bradley Davis. Have a good night.